My name's Tyler. I want to thank you for allowing me to share my passion with you and purchasing a program. This video is going to cover how to work your 4-week program. So throughout the program, you'll typically find about 6 sections. You got your movement prep, your power and strength area, your core, your exercise, energy systems, recovery, regeneration. So they're all labeled down on the program if you look. And we'll go through each of those. So your movement prep is typically where I put in your warm-up, your dynamic warm-up. I try to make it really specific to what I see from your assessment so we can help increase your movement capabilities, open any tight muscles, and get you ready for the activity. Then we go down to strength and power. So we typically do strength and power first because that's where a lot of energy is used. And also, it's we want to be safe and effective. We don't want to be fatigued when we're going to that section. Then we have the core. And just as it sounds, this is where we'll do some functional core training, abdominal specific rotation. Sometimes there'll be combination moves, so various exercise. So let's actually talk about more sense of not the exercise, but the way to work through the program. On the outside, you'll find order. So the order of the program is, I'll label, typically 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, and so on. Now, if you see a 1 by itself with no letter after it, that means you'll do however many sets of that said exercise before you move on to the next. So you see, we'll use example, back squat, 3 sets of 10 with a tempo of 3, 1, 1, followed by 30 seconds rest. That means you're going to rest 30 seconds, repeat the same exercise. Now, in that rest area, you can stretch and stuff, but let's try to, if it's that kind of format, let's try to not do anything that's going to be really strenuous so we can put more effort into the set exercise. Now, if you see the order where it's labeled 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, that's a circuit. So you'll run the circuit or the list of exercises, however it may be, 3 to 5, and then you'll rest. So you'll also see at the end of that 1A, you will see a 0 on your rest. And then maybe down at 1E, you'll see maybe a stretch, a 30-second hold, and then that's such a long time of a rest. So you're going to work that circuit, do mobility exercise for your rest, and then repeat. Only time I don't really put order it is in the movement prep, because that's the warm-up. We're going to take your time through that. And typically I only make the warm-up roughly 10 to 15 minutes or less so we can get going. Next, on your format of your program, you'll see over to the right is sets. So in sets, depending on where you're at in your program, in your first week of your new program, you'll see a lower set. So I label it as 2-3 or 3-4. So I do that because within the transition of a new program, we have what we call a transition period. In that transition period, we want less volume, so less intensity to allow true rest. And we can actually utilize this and keep progressing forward by putting a new stimuli in, meaning the exercise. And the new exercise is a new stimuli. So we can take down our set count, get a true rest, still have a stimuli from the new exercises to keep us moving forward. Now then the following week, so week 1, you're doing 2 sets. We'll use that 2 and 3 as an example, 2 sets. And then week 3, or 2 through 4, so 2, 3, and 4, you're going to do 3 sets, right? So then that's the rest of your phase. And typically you won't see anything like 2, 3, 4 in your main lifts. Now there are some times where in our energy systems you'll see a label complex. Now complex, I will do stuff like 4, 5, and 6 because I want you to increase these sets versus the repetition. So there are things, and if I do that, I will specify that in your program. Now the next box over, you'll see reps, and these are consistent usually, except for again the complex stuff in some of your energy systems. You might see 5 and 6 where I want you to increase the set range up. You might even see max, meaning that I want you to go to failure. Moving to the next step, we have tempo. Now tempo, I work in the format of eccentric, isometric, and concentric. So your first number is going to be your eccentric muscle action. What that means is we'll use a push-up. So in your lowering phase of your push-up, you're going to count down however many that number is, 3. So we'll go 3, 2, 1, you're at the bottom, you pause, and then you press for 1. Now, pull and push are a little different, right? So if I'm bench pressing, I'm going to lower it to my chest for 3, I'm going to press. But if I'm doing a seated row, I'm going to pull towards me for a 1, and then I'm going to release for a 3. Same thing with your squats and deadlifts of those variations. You might lower for a 3 count in your squat and press for 1, where you're going to lift from the floor for a 1 count and lower to 3 in the deadlift. So for moving over across that, after tempo, you'll find sometimes hold. Now typically hold will be only in the movement phase, so there'll be times where I want you to help lengthen the muscle after you kind of warm it up a little bit. So you do like 10 toe touches, and then I want you to hold the stretch for so many seconds. That's typically the time I put a hold in there. Now we have pounds, that's where you're going to record. And the way I like to progress through programs is very simple, and we try to increase our weight every week we do that same lift. So for example, in your first week, you might have, let's say 135 for your bench press, and you did that for 2 sets. Now, since we're moving to 3 sets on our second week, you could do 135 for 3 sets, and that's fine because that's more volume, right? Reps times sets times weight. Now, when we come to week 3, what we want to do is add a little heavier weight for at least 1 set, right? Or 1 to 2. If we did 135, let's jump up to 145, or maybe 150 for 1 set. And it's okay to drop set back down for the next 2 because we did get that 1 set higher. Now week 4, that's when we want to set new records. We really want to try some new lifts, some new weight. Now I don't come in with a new program every week. I like to save a little bit of paper. So what I do is kind of like in bowling. If I did, let's say 135 for 3, so I'll write down 135 in the box below, and then in the upper corner I'll write how many sets I got that for, like 1 to 2 to 3. And the following week when I go in, okay, I was like, oh, I got 135 for 2 sets. I'm gonna shoot for at least 3, or I might even try 1 heavier, and then if I got 155 for 1 set, I'm gonna write 155 on 1 in the top box. All right, so in the work, you'll find sometimes in the energy systems, so down in the energy systems section, you'll find an area called work. A lot of times there's stuff that exercise I want you to cover a distance instead of repetition. So like a crawl for 25 meters. And that's typically you'll see work, or the only time I put it. Now if I'm putting down at the bottom below after your recovery regeneration, so that's typically your flexibility page and nutrition stuff, and you just report to that. And then recovery regeneration. Now notes, I put down, so if I'm using acronyms in your program, so SL like single leg, and it's something you haven't seen in a while, I'll put that down as notes, right? So we go through, and after a while you'll know all the acronyms, SA and all these other little things. So some exercises are labeled a pretty long name, so I'll just make acronyms out of them, and then down in your notes I'll write what it means.